Welcome, everybody. Midlife Gaming Podcast. We're back again, this time on a Tuesday. And in observation of the holiday last weekend, Memorial. And here we are. So everything's a little bit shifted this week, but next week everything will go back to normal, especially as we ramp up for E3 season. Steve, how's it been going, man? I feel like I haven't seen you in over a week.
Yeah, it's been a day and a week, man. I've been good, man. Just working on the helicopter stuff for Flight Simulator with the team and taking care of the kid, just like you spent a lot of time with family over the weekend. So happy to be back on the podcast and to get to some gaming news.
Happy to be back. Oh, hold on, my Streamlabs. There it goes. All right, well, let's go ahead and get into said news. This week we have new GPUs, new Steam Friend, and new Battlefield. So we'll just start off at the beginning. And it's, of course, not coming up. Why not? There we go. Just took it a second for some reason. All right. NVIDIA announces new RTX 3080 Ti, as well as, the title doesn't say this, but they also announced the 3070 Ti, which I learned today is not pronounced Ti. It is pronounced Ti. Had no idea. Apparently they had a show at Computex, and this was just like really early this morning too, so we would have missed this if we had the show yesterday. And there's a lot of good details out of it. It's all confirmed, all by NVIDIA. Looks like the 3080 Ti is supposed to have a 1.5 time performance boost over the 2080 Ti, but starts at $1199 and starts at for sale, goes up June 3rd for the Founders Edition. I haven't been able to find if the third-party cards like Asus and EVGA are going to be available on the 3rd as well, but NVIDIA has announced that the Founders cards will be available starting the 3rd for the 3080, but the 3070 will be starting at $599, way more reasonable of a price, and they start sale on the 10th. What are you going to be upgrading?
I want to, so you and me have talked about this before. I am strictly EVGA when it comes to GPUs. That's the only company I'll buy from. I don't deal with AMD at all any longer when it comes to that side, but even on the NVIDIA side, strictly EVGA. And they do have this new program, the EVGA Elite, which what they are doing is to kind of combat the whole miner craze. They've made only a select few of, you have to have your card registered prior to them announcing the program, or if you buy a card that is part of the program now. But basically, certain SKUs, they allow you to get into this queue whenever there's a new product release like this, the day of the release, or not the day of the release, but the day of pre-order release, whatever the hell it is, which in this case is June 3rd. We'll be able to log in. There's a special queue, and it'll notify you automatically when you can log in and buy your card. So I'm hoping that actually works out pretty well. The cost of $1,200 isn't too bad. Actually, while you're talking, I pulled up my previous order for the 2080 Ti that I have, and the cost for that was $1,149, and that was in 2018. So really, I mean, we're 2 years further now. The mining craze has become even bigger than it was back then.
Right.
Supply is on short supply, just to put it frankly there. So I don't think there's not really an issue with the pricing, and I want the upgrade anyway. So if I can get it, I will. But it's kind of the same thing with the GPUs and the PS5 and the Xbox One Series X for me. I want all of them. I could buy all of them. I've got the funds to, but I am not going to. I'm not going to go through hoops to get them, because I don't necessarily need the upgrade. I want it, but
Right.
I'm not going to go through the stress of, waking up at, I think they said that this will start at 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So, 3 a.m. for me. I'm not going to wake up at 3 a.m. just to make sure I'm sitting in a queue for the ability to pre-order a card.
Yeah.
I'll wait.
The option or the chance to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, what's unfortunate, these are going to go for like 2 times the amount on eBay and things like that. So you're not even going to be able to get them secondhand at a reasonable cost. Retail stores aren't going to get any stock of them. So it's kind of like, kind of just effed. If you're in the Northeast, you might get lucky because you've got Micro Center and stuff like up there you can just walk into and they have a supply. But down here in Florida, It ain't gonna happen.
No, I wish we still had that
Maybe.
Comp USA. That would have been great.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, I was looking at the specs like you were kind of saying, just the one times performance over the 2080 Ti is huge. But the one thing that I did note though, so if you look at the 3080 Ti in comparison to the 3090, really the only thing, I don't want to say the only thing, but the biggest standout there is just the actual memory. So, you're getting 20 in the 3090, and this one I believe was 14 or 12. So for a
12.
couple hundred, yeah, for a couple $100, if you can actually get your hands on one, because I think the TIs are only 1500, something like that. So for a couple $100, you can get 20, get 20 gigabytes of that memory. So I think that will probably be the thing that a lot of people have to wait. Because me, even I was like, I didn't want to pay 1500, but now seeing that this is 1200, there's not that big of a disparity between the two. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. Tom, I'm not kidding. I have a Micro Center account still, so it is mine is in Towson, but I'll look and see if I can log in, buy it. You go over there. Hell, honestly, it's probably worth even taking the flight up there and picking up my damn self, for $100.
Yeah, especially since it probably will get doubled on eBay. I think the pricing really started to get a little outrageous around what the I don't know, because even I have a 1080 Ti, and I bought that in I don't know, at this point like 4 years ago, maybe 5 possibly years ago, and it still crushes just about every game I put it up against. I think the only game that I've struggled with right now is Cyberpunk 2077, and I can still get it to look great, like significantly better than console. Absolutely. So I don't really, like you said earlier, I don't have a need for the upgrade, but it's nice to have. It's it's that consumerism that leaks into your system. You're like, oh, I need this new graphics card. But I think that for me, I will likely I'm very few things in life do I really care to be at like the midnight launch for it, because if I can't just walk in and buy it, normally I'm not really interested about it, because from a market stance as well, like the Steam hardware surveys come out every month, and every month it still proves that the 10 and the early 20 series of the cards are still dominant. Like the 3000 series or the 30 series GPUs, they hold almost no market share on Steam. So, and the developers know this. They're not going to go, oh, cool, there's a 3080 Ti out in the wild now, let's build for that. Like, yeah, you're going to have settings that take advantage of it, but your base experience that you're looking for is going to be whatever the market share is. So I think time is going to be my friend on this one. I'm not going to upgrade immediately. Probably give it a year and see how it fares, see if there's anything that really takes advantage of it, and then move on from there. Because like RTX was the pushing point for the 20 series, and it is good, but it's still like not super well implemented in a lot of things. And most people that I hear that have these cards are still turning RTX off in favor of the performance boost. And it seems like the market is now starting to realize like, hey, people like frames more than they like resolution now. Like we've hit a peak in resolution, let's get the frames up to speed. So, and we're seeing that with AMD just did their it's not iFinity anymore. It's like Xfinity or something, or iXfinity, which is like their version of DLSS. So I will be holding off on this one for at least a year to see how it fares out, as well as to give some time to the market, or not the market, the card resellers like Asus and EVGA, third party vendors, to give them some time to make their improvements. Because I don't think I've ever bought a Founders Edition card like day one. I normally always wait a little bit so that there's like a couple of revisions hardware wise that have been made. Like I'm rocking not just a 1080 Ti, it's the Asus ROG Strix 11 gigabyte 1080 Ti. So in the graph that they have here, mine does not, like these numbers that they have here for the 1080 Ti must have been a Founders Edition because I can crank out over 50 frames on all of these games at max settings, except Minecraft RTX. I've not even tried, so I don't know what that one looks like. Normal Minecraft, I can blow it away, but Minecraft RTX, it's a 10 series, so it doesn't have RTX, so I don't get that bonus in fidelity for that. But I also don't feel the impact of the requirement for it. So, I can still game. I'm right now. I'm at 144 frames on most games right now at high quality settings. So I don't have a need for it. I'll wait.
Cool. What do we got up next?
Up next, we got a new Steam friend. This story came out a little bit early in the week last week. So a well-known guy online who kind of checks through Steam's code every once in a while when it sees a big update found evidence for a Steam handheld called the Steam Pal. And it is believed to be what is now referred to as a Switch-like PC. We'll likely get more confirmed information on this one about probably before the year's end, according to Valve co-founder Gabe Newell. He did I don't even remember what that show was. It was just
It was actually a school
yeah, it
visit.
was a school, right?
Yeah.
School in New Zealand. Someone asked him if we would see more Steam titles or Steam implementation on console, and he gave us a very cryptic answer, like always, involving that more details would be here by the end of the year. Have you seen any of these Switch-like PCs, Steve?
Yeah. The thing for me though, like we talked about this before, it's just I'm not the market for it, honestly. Like,
Yeah,
I do not like compromised experiences. Like me translating a PC to a handheld, like okay, it's kind of cool. Like I've shown you sometimes, like I'll Google desktop into my computer to like put some AFK like mining type shit on or something like that. But in terms of like trying to actually play a game from a little handheld, I just don't see the purpose of it. I mean, I see the purpose of it. It's not for me. It's just not for me. Like I don't like a compromised experience. I think the Switch is great. You know, like I love the Switch. I love that the games are catered to, like, yes, they work on, it's kind of reverse. Like, yes, they work on the big screen, but they're actually even better handheld, because they're more accessible. You can put it down and pick it up when you want to, that kind of thing. But
right.
you don't get that same type of functionality with PC. Like, unless they're doing something completely revolutionary here, where, like they've got that quick resume type features and stuff like that. Like, it's just it comes off hacky to me. Like there's no way they can do this unless it is absolutely like from the ground up they built this. Which I mean maybe they did as Valve. That's one thing I will say. Like the Steam interface has gotten better over the years. I actually really love it. So maybe if they take like that big box mode and it's like, oh, a Steam Pal mode, and and everything's on a tile now and it's very easy to launch, and you never have to worry about a game that you launched with the controller input but now it wants a keyboard. Like if they can get
Right.
all that kind of stuff worked out, like natively it always knows like, hey, this is a text input field, here's your keyboard, or here's a game that requires it. It has to be so in depth for me to like it, because if it's not polished then it's going to feel like a bit compromised, and then it's just going to be like a novelty thing, like, oh, okay, yeah, it's a novelty. Because really when you think PC games, what I mean, there's some stuff that you would want to play in the mobile, like maybe Civilization and things like that. But then you think about how much depth and involvement those are with, like, oh, you need this mouse and you've got to use, one of your F12, F1 through 12 keys or your numpad keys. Like, it just,
Right.
even thinking about it kind of gives me a headache. Like, I would only want to play like the most basic of stuff on it. At which point, I would say if you're a PC gamer and you want Steam Pal, okay, maybe you want it for the interconnectivity with your PC that I'm sure they're going to involve, or you want a portable gaming device. If it's because you want a portable gaming device, then you should just skip this and get a Switch, right? I mean, that
Or
that
just a good
seems more.
laptop.
Yeah, and I hate laptops personally. I can't game with them. Like if I'm
Oh
portable,
yeah.
I can do it. I can sit on the couch with it and all that, but I at that point it's like if you want a portable gaming device, like if you want something for portable, like the laptop is portable for in the house or if I'm going to be off on a trip or something like that. But like on my day to day, like, oh, I want something I could crank out on my lunch break when I'm sitting in the car eating my burrito from Taco Bell, you know,
Right.
then I probably just want to pull out a Switch. I want something quick and easy. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy there. And again, that's just me personally. Like I'm sure there's a ton of people who are crazy about this. I know our friend Batfish, he plays a lot of big screen modes. Maybe this is cool for him. Like, oh, okay, now when I'm in bed, I can play, a little bit of Farmville or whatever the hell that is he plays. What's that damn farm game that you guys
Stardew
love?
Valley, and you will put respect
Start.
on that name.
Yeah. So Farmville
Farmville.
Valley. Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, it's cool though. I'm glad. That quote that Gabe has said was, "We are." Someone asked him, "Oh, what about consoles?" Blah blah. He's like, "You're gonna see something from us before the end of the year, and it's gonna be in a surprising way." So, is
Right.
this the big surprise? No, this isn't really that surprising to me because they've already done weird stuff like this before. Like with Steam Link and all that. I would have, to be honest, I would have preferred for them to not go hardware. I would have preferred to see them go software. Like, hey, you've got a Switch, and we've got a Steam cloud service where you can now get all your PC games on your Switch or something like that. I don't want a second, hauling around another device. I want to use the devices I already have. So
Yeah, I agree with you on a lot of those points. It's yeah, and I intentionally put in the show notes, so like, is there even a market for this? Because yeah, it's an interesting piece of hardware, like having full blown PC ability in a handheld like form factor. And there's one that Linus Tech Tips reviewed, and they seem to like it, but at the same time, it's most of the videos that I see about these types of PCs, these Switch like PCs, end up just being emulation machines, just very quick and dirty emulation style machine, something you can play a PlayStation 1 emulator on with no problems, because the sources behind this rumor claim that there is not going to be any type of discrete GPU on this expected setup, that it will be a system on a chip design led with both or not both, with either AMD or Intel directly. I imagine it would be AMD. It's just more their realm, as well as they have those APUs that they're pushing out now, which will mean that this will be an expensive handheld for sure. But it's also not Steam's first foray in the hardware realm. I don't know if you remember or not, but back whenever we still had the Tiger Direct here, I think it was Tiger Direct still and not CompUSA. Um, but there were Steam, man, I wish I had looked this up before stream. There were like Steam PCs, like computers that were built and
yeah,
branded by Steam, and I think they worked with Alienware right around the time that Alienware was bought out by Dell. And they did horrible. They were super expensive. They weren't that great. The power behind them was not even enough. I remember this the most. The Tiger Direct by us was showcasing an HP gaming, pre-built system over the Steam Alienware system. Like, it was out and you could play with it. You couldn't play with the Steam one though, because it was just a box. It was this what is that form factor? HTPC or something like that. That small,
yeah.
media center form factor, and it just did not perform up to that price point. The value of it was not there, and the value to these Switch like PCs tends to not be there either. Because if you're playing one of the games on this screenshot right here is Rocket League, and if you're playing Rocket League because you just want to have a good time, chances are you're not playing Rocket League. That's just how it works. You're playing it because it's a competitive title, and you're not going to be competitive with a wireless
Excuse me.
setup in the first place, much less a controller when you're fighting, or not fighting, when you're going up against other keyboard and mouse players. Um, I just don't understand where the market is on this. It's interesting, sure. It gets the buzz, of course, but I don't see like a little Timmy and grandma scenario in this world where
Yeah.
this is an answer to that situation. Like, little Timmy is going to have a laptop, an iPad, or a desktop, or an Xbox, or a PlayStation. I don't see a Switch like PC scenario in little Timmy and grandma stories line.
Yeah, I think the thing for them. So when you think about Valve as a company, think about everything they do, 30% of all the revenue from, of course they've made some smaller deals, but 30% of all the revenue for some of these publisher comes
Oh
directly
yeah.
to them. So with all these amount of games that come out, they're sitting on so much capital. So I really respect them taking the risk of trying something different. Instead of being stagnant, they for whatever reason they don't want to do a lot of games. They did the Half Life, whatever, Alex, which was phenomenal. But I like this. It's one of those things where it's not for me, but I do kind of respect it. I can see it working for somebody. I don't think that this is the like this will be the Wii U to the Switch for them. Is what I
Right.
think. Like this will be the okay, let's put something out here just to kind of see. We'll take all the feedback from what people say they want, and then on the V2 version, we'll do better. It's kind of the same thing they did. They also have the Steam controller, so they've done this before where they've kind of experimented, threw something
And
out, see
iterated
what
it.
people like. Yeah, so I'm watching. I'm rooting for their success. It's just not. I need to see more before I commit to it, and I just can't see a world where I would buy this. I really don't. Like it would have to be, like I said, the form factor and the OS would have to just be seamless. Like I never want to be frustrated when I'm trying to play a game because it's a mouse and keyboard game, but I'm trying to play with this weird fucking, like you said, Steam emulation type thing. So I just don't. I'll be looking for Linus's review. Honestly, that's
Yeah,
what I'll be waiting
absolutely. Yeah,
for. I'll be waiting for Linus to go 20 minutes deep into all of the because he does a good job with the mobile phone things. Like, hey, I use this for a week as my daily driver.
absolutely.
So I want to see that. Like, how does it stand up after a week of me using it? Like, once the novelty of I've got a PC in my pocket is worn off because truly. We all have PCs in our pocket. Our fucking mobile phones are more powerful than PCs from what 10 years ago. Like they're
Most
maybe
likely, yeah.
even more recently than that.
I mean, I
Like
can
so.
I can Photoshop on my phone, so
Yeah.
it's got power
So
on it.
yeah. So I don't know. It'd be interesting to see. That's all I can say.
Agreed. It will be interesting to see. I don't know. I don't know. So the controller did get iterated, but like Steam Link, which I feel like is probably the best thing that they've put out on the market, is not even like that's not even a thing anymore, right? Like they support
Yeah.
it,
So
but you can't go out and buy a brand new Steam Link from them, right?
yeah, and I kind of get why. So the reason why is because now you don't even need the Steam Link interface anymore. So it used to be, you would run a Ethernet cable or Wi-Fi from your PC to the Steam Link box, and the Steam Link box would be plugged into your TV, and that's how you would transmit it over. But now you really don't need it anymore because you have, you could run just regular HDMI cable, or you can get, like one of those little HDMI wireless receivers, just plug that in the back of your PC. So I think that was the big thing, and then also they did the app. So I don't know if there's a Steam Link app available for any television sets currently. Definitely not any
I
consoles. I
use
was kind of
Moonlight.
hoping, yeah, I was kind of hoping that was going to be a thing, but I think that's why it's just because so many other people have put things out to mirror your PC to the TV. Like it's kind of
Hmm.
like okay, we people don't need the piece of hardware anymore, and then the apps. Xbox, I think just Xbox, right? XCloud, Stadia, like all those guys kind of start going to, okay, hey, fuck your TV. Like let your family watch TV and you play on your phone instead, or you play on a tablet, which in a way, it's kind of like you were the other day when you were talking about like the track IR type thing. Like, hey,
Hmm.
it's kind of you save or you save processing power on your computer when you just put it on an app instead of actually running it, over the network. So
Running it locally.
yeah, so we'll see. I do think I don't think they're done. Like I think they do want to be. You were kind of talking about the Steam PC from a while back. That was a good idea, poorly executed and poorly marketed. Like I've always said that I think most parents, if a PC person can get into the head of most parents and help them understand like all the benefits to a PC over a console, like hey, yes, the upfront cost is probably more expensive to build it, but over the long term, you're playing less for games. You're not paying for Xbox Live every month. Your kid can use it to learn shit as well as actually play.
Right.
And you can make it easily. You can make it into your living room device. Like you don't have to. It doesn't have to be the thing, down in Jimmy's basement where you have to be afraid of what he's doing down there. You can make it a video game or a living room device just like a console, honestly. And that's
Yeah.
what the Steam PC was supposed to be. It was supposed to be like a hey, here it is. Don't have to worry about buying parts and all that kind of shit. Just plug it in and it's good to go. So it was good for that, but it was the choice of the hardware and all that that kind of made it fail. And again, you got to have a good OS. If you don't have the good OS, people are just going to consider it cumbersome. It's going to feel like one of those flea market fucking 3,000 games in one
Oh
package
yeah.
deals that they have. Yeah, it's gonna feel weird, and people are gonna discount the value of it. So
Yeah, it's definitely one that is going to need to have just the right specs in order to be competitive on several fronts. It's a tall order for this device to be successful. It's definitely not hitting a market that is in need of it. So I think it does fall on Steam to create that pocket environment of games that are optimized for this. I think there is a reference to it, like Neptune optimized titles have already started to get flagged inside of Steam games in that ecosystem. So it seems like they are already working on back end stuff to help stand it up. So support already seems better than the Steam PC, because that was just all right, buy it and plug it in and just update it like a normal computer. And people weren't looking for a normal computer, because if they were, they'd go buy a normal computer and upgrade it, whatever they want. The marketing is going to need to do a lot of work to make this work out for them.
agree.
Agreed.
Agree.
Let's move on, because this is going to be a short one. Battlefield reveal coming June 9th. They have this. It looks like it kind of confirms the whole slightly futuristic era type thing. Their logo here that's playing behind our heads on stream is very quick. I think like 10-second clip of just, here, there's a reveal coming soon. I don't know. How do you feel about this game coming out? I mean, it's almost
I'm
E3
super
season,
excited.
so it might just get lost.
Yeah, this is so day one. As long as it is modern or futuristic,
Mm-hmm.
this is a day one pre-order for me. Like I want to show them. Like I mean, I'm just a small piece, but hopefully the rest of the community is kind of the same way. Like I really want to show them, like, hey, we're fucking tired of the the World War I,
Yes.
the World War II, the Vietnam, Cold War. Like I'm tired of all that shit. Please, for the love of God, make it a modern game, futuristic. Like I don't care. I really just anything but World War II. I don't want muskets in this game.
Yeah.
Uh, oh my god. Yeah. So I'm gonna support them, and I like Dice. I like EA. Like I feel like they've really turned around. So if they stick with the same thing that they've been doing for the other games, kind of that they've released recently, like
Mhm.
I was playing Squadrons maybe a few weeks back, there are no multi transactions. I'm thinking of the multiverse. There are no microtransactions in
Yeah.
these games anymore. So if they release a multiplayer game, Battlefield always used to be kind of known for. They never had they never really did the microtransaction stuff. They always were known for big DLC releases. They'd be like,
Right.
oh shit, here's the big DLC campaign. It's got all these different maps in it. So I think if they go back to that, I was actually looking at Steam today because Battlefield 4 is on sale for $10, and I was really tempted. I was like, I might get it, especially if it's the Ultimate Edition. But then I'm like, man, this is coming out. This will be out in November. That's always Battlefield's thing. They come
Oh
out
yeah.
2 weeks before, 2 weeks before Call of Duty usually. So this will be out in November. So I'm like, yeah, I'll just keep playing Titanfall until then. But I'm super stoked. I think Battlefield is at its best when it's in the modern era, and that you're getting all those Battlefield knowns kind of variables that they've been known for over the years, like the spectacle of the destruction and all that
Right.
kind of shit. If they bring that to the game, I think there's no way they can fail. They just have to. I think what they need to stop doing is trying to chase everyone else. Like they had a big problem with that in Battlefield 5. You know, when they did their poor battle royale mode that literally came out and died in the same weekend. Like it was the one where which and their idea for it was pretty cool. Like the map was on fire and the fire kind of closed in on you, so
Mhm.
that was kind of cool. But yeah, it was the same. If you're doing the same thing as the competitor, which in this case obviously is Call of Duty, Apex, Fortnite, then you have to be better, because if you're going to put yourself in direct comparison with those people and you're going to be worse, then you gain nothing.
Yeah.
Like
What's the point?
it's not ticking off a box just to say, oh, we've got this feature, come over and play with us. It's, hey, we've got this too, and ours is better, or it's different, and they didn't do anything different. It was just the same thing. So hopefully this goes back to having a strong single player co-op multiplayer campaign, something of that nature, and the multiplayer just being what they're known for, like the conquest modes, capture the flag, all that. Like I want large, widespread warfare, Call of Duty's thing, I think, is more of the sneaky sneak, kind of thing. Like, hey, you're in a team of three. Like, the best way to survive these matches is to sneak around, Warzone.
Right.
I think Battlefield's advantage needs to be like the team cooperation. Like, hey, when you're in a squad, you can really fuck up the rest of the enemy team because you guys are working as this team of five elites while everyone else is going around just kind of Ramboing around.
Just kind of
Which
lone
is,
wolfing it.
yeah, which is how, when we used to play Battlefield, like we literally would turn the tables for the entire team because we'd be like, all right, all these guys are off doing their own shit. We just, you kind of get focused, lasers focused, and you're like, all right, we're at point C now. All right, we're going to A after this. We go over to A, capture that. All right, we're going back here to C, whatever. And that's how we used to hold it down. So I want
Absolutely.
that again. I want the team play stuff. Tom, we're playing it as soon as it comes out, boy.
Yep. Launch night. Better be ready.
Launch night.
Yeah.
So
what would you do if this was like ultra future, like Destiny era type future?
oh, I would love it if it is. No, it's so
And
that's kind of
remove the space magic. We're not talking about that. Just like so far ahead, Earth's been wiped out 3 times by this point. We're just we're a colony faring planet. There's no real resemblance in space at this point for what is considered modern society. Like there's no United States of Mars type situation.
Yeah.
It's just like here's these other forces that we don't really know.
I mean, so Call of Duty did that with, I think it was Advanced Warfare was the one that they had in space, which was actually my favorite.
Infinite Warfare.
Infinite Warfare, yeah. Which is one of my favorite campaigns they've ever done. Human on human conflict, I'd be down for it. I don't think Battlefield should ever cross over into anything else like that. So, I mean, I could see it. There's kind of precedent. I've wanted 24, a sequel to 24 or 2142 Forever, which was a near future game they had back in the day on a PC, never came over to consoles, and that was pretty great. I'd be down for it, but I think that if they're going to do that, they should probably stack it. Like, if this isn't the one that goes all the way out that far, maybe this is like we're in 2020, so maybe this is, or 2021, maybe it's like 2025 or something like that, and they're like, oh, there was a third war, and the war is now being fought in space or whatever. Cue the space. What the hell's the? What do we have? The Space Force. You've got
Space Force
station out there. So I mean, they're honestly, like I said, I'll be down for anything they do as long as it is not fucking prehistoric war. As long as
yes,
I know.
We're done with the historical situations in war fronts.
Yeah,
we've seen it time and time again, literally since the Xbox original era and PS2 era, from like Bad Company on, have just milked World War II and World War One, that whole terrible time window, time and time again. So I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm more about, man, do you remember Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter for 360? Yeah. I used to play that all the time because it wasn't because it wasn't a historical take. It was like a modern / futuristic take on war fronts and everything. That was fun.
Yeah.
I'm with all of y'all. This will be a day one release probably for me.
Good stuff.
I think that is all we have in the news, Steve.
It is.
Yes, it is. So we're going to go ahead and just transition over to listener Q&A. We usually do our radar at this point, but E3 is right around the corner. So a lot of releases have been either pushed back to help, blend in with E3, or they've already come out. So we're going to just spend our radar time doing some listener Q&A. While we transition over, go ahead, feel free to follow us, give us a follow, like, subscribe, wherever you're watching us at. Do the things, call to action, all that jazz. Where did they go? Here they are. All right. Nope, not the end card. The intro. There we go. All right, so listener Q&A. For those who don't know, this is the part where we answer some questions that come from Reddit or from Discord. And if we pick your question, we'll answer it live on the stream. And out of those questions that we have picked, we'll pick one, and they'll get a free game. List is on the Reddit. And we'll put a link or something to those so that you can be on the lookout for it next time if you happen to miss it. So the first question up comes from Reddit user Moon_Wolf. What gaming franchise do you want back from the dead? I'm gonna let you answer this one first because I have to think about it.
Oh, okay, cool. So mine is easy because it's the number one game I've wanted to come back for probably like 10 plus years at this point. There was a game during the, I want to say it was the PS2 or 360 era, called Mercenaries. So it was a game by, I gotta pull up the studio because it's a very well known studio, but I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head here. Mercenaries. Calm down, folks. I'm getting there. Pandemic. So if you
Oh,
remember
yep.
Pandemic Studios, they were huge. They were behind the Star Wars Battlefront series, and at some point, EA acquired them. They acquired the Mercenaries license. They made a sequel to the original Mercenaries, which kind of blew. But I think, like, I had this vision in my head. If I've somehow found a way to implant myself at E3 and can talk to the CEO, like they have $1 billion idea on their hand that they're just not exploiting. That they're not exploiting. So the whole premise of Mercenaries was it was a, I don't want to say 1-to-1, but the map was the world map.
Right.
And just like, kind of how the US was having this war on terrorism, in this whole span of the world, you are independent mercenaries, and in each continent, there was some type of figure that was there. They kind of had their house of cards. They'd have all the lieutenants, all that kind of stuff, and then
Mm-hmm.
at the top would be the head honcho that you need to take out in that territory. And the way things worked were, you would do little missions around the continent that kind of, okay, I did this, that took this person from the deck of cards out of power, and you're working your way up to, the head person. So you could either go directly for the head person at any point you want. It might not just turn out well for you because you haven't
Gonna be a rough
taken
fight.
all the resources. Yeah, but it was just very cool because literally as your gameplay had a direct impact on how challenging that encounter with the head of the deck of cards was. And the reason why I say I think it is opportune time for it now is that it's really one of those games that is absolutely prone for being like a live service when you think of like Fortnite and how the world map changes based off events and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine, this game in today's age where you assign yourself to a power. I'm aligned into this power. And now as you guys complete your missions for that power, you're having an impact on the map overall.
Kind of
So I
like
think that
Elite Dangerous. Whenever you attach
exactly.
yourself to a thing, there's like a background calculation that's happening that's affecting the world that you're playing in. So yeah, that sounds pretty genius. That I don't know why they wouldn't have figured that out by now.
Yeah. So hopefully they bring it back at some point.
Yeah, because Mercenaries 2 came back out on the 360, so it's been dead for a while. Let's see.
So what's
So
yours?
I don't really, man, I don't really know. Um, I don't know. I might have to skip on this one because it's not one that I've given a lot of thought. Because most of the time, for me, if I liked a game that was old and is dead, I'm still gonna have it on my computer and still be playing it, whenever I want. Uh, I don't know. I would like to see I don't think BioShock is technically dead, but I would like to see a revival at least of that series. Um, and take it back to the Rapture days. Like I liked BioShock 3 probably more than 1 and 2, but I liked the setting of 1 and 2 more than I like the setting of 3. So that would probably be my pick. If I could have a revival, it would be for the BioShock series. As long as it was back underwater, back in that same aesthetic of 1 and 2. Because I had like just the right taste of suspense and action in it. I think I would have liked more of that suspense out of 2 and 3, but like 1 was dark. 1 was like borderline almost a horror game whenever you met one of the big daddies. So
Yeah.
I would like that back. BioShock 1 is one of those games where if it comes up and it gets asked of us every once in a while, if you could experience a game for the first time again, BioShock is one of those games for me. If I could experience BioShock 1 again for the first time, that would be great for me. But there's a first time and that's it. There's no other first times. Let's move on to this one's a little bit longer. Um, I don't even know how to pronounce this name, but we'll go with it. If this is you, thanks for this question. Uh, will cloud gaming be a serious competitor to hardware gaming, PC console? Once internet becomes cheap and fast everywhere, anybody with a $300 phone can play the highest demanding AAA game on the highest settings without paying black market price for the hardware. Or will it die in the next 5 years? I think cloud gaming has yet to find its footing. Um, Again, we go back to little Jimmy or little Timmy and grandma. It is, there's a scenario where it works for them, but for anyone who is doing real time, like competitive style game, it's going to be a long time before cloud gaming picks up. If you're playing first person shooters, it's going to take a while to get it fully up and running for you. I know some people report that they have great success with Stadia, but most of those people have like top tier internet connection, top tier, internet hardware. They've replaced their ISPs, their internet providers, hardware as well, and they've put in, at least an extra grand worth of equipment into their network infrastructure at home in order to get this near desktop like experience, when you could have just bought a desktop and had a true desktop experience. So I don't know. I don't think that it's I imagine Stadia will be dead in 5 years. It'll be one of those projects that Google, kills off like they usually do. And I think it was you that sent me that link, Steve, that just had like all the projects that they've killed over the years, and it's a lot. And Stadia is going to be added to that list pretty shortly. I think it's going to come back to kind of what we had mentioned earlier, where Steam kind of bases your own personal cloud out of your desktop, your hardware, and then you just play that wherever you want in your house. Because that's really where cloud gaming is in the house. It's not on the subway. It's not, on a train or on a plane or anything like that. It's just other places in your house. And there's better ways of doing it than through Stadia or through normal cloud gaming. Even though I do like xCloud. xCloud is pretty low latency. But again, I have better networking equipment that I just had because for other reasons. And it plays well, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to sit and stare at, my phone for hours on end while I'm trying to play Destiny 2. It's just not going to happen. I'm going to always sit at my desk or play on my Xbox on the big screen. Like there's no reason to do it on the phone. What about you? What's your take?
For me, I see it. I agree with you in the current state. I do think in the future that this is probably the way that the future will be. Like I think the days of hardware in general are kind of going away, kind of for the reason, like I said before, like people don't want to have multiple devices there, and we're just kind of, even with like the hardware shortages that we're seeing right now, knowing that I can tell you this, like Sony and Xbox don't care about selling the consoles are the gateway to the software sales. They lose money on every single console they sell.
Absolutely.
So if they could just find a way to penetrate your TV, like once TVs become powerful enough that they can just have an app that can run all the games that they develop and shit on it, you'll never hear about a console again. Like they might have one just for like convenience sake, people like to buy something, whatever physical wise, but they would love to go completely streaming. There's just so much more ROI for it. You're not manufacturing any longer. You're just developing the software and you're taking the profits off of it. As someone who's recently kind of gotten this myself, like man, you just kind of see it and you're like, wow, like your only cost is the money that you put into the actual development. Like after that, you have nothing to worry about. Like obviously you got server costs for downloads and all that, but
Right.
yeah, they don't want to deal with this hardware shit. I mean, it's messy too. You when you get into that, you got to get into the whole ethical issues when you're dealing with overseas plants and all that. Every time there's an issue with one of these Apple facilities, overseas, Apple gets the backlash for it. Same thing
Absolutely.
happens with the console manufacturer. So they don't want to be involved in that. Like they would love to cut that arm of their business out and just focus on the pure profits that come from software sales. So I do think the person who left that question, they brought up a great point. The only limit right now is the internet. Like, if everyone had easy access to high speed internet, then this would help expedite the whole process of getting rid of consoles, getting rid of the physical media. But that is the real limiter is just that the internet is not that accessible everywhere.
Yeah, I
In
mean,
our
even in the
Discord,
U.S.
yeah. In our Discord, we have a lot of like about 22% of our Discord users are from Germany because we have a big flight sim,
Hmm.
presence on the Discord, obviously. And someone was talking the other day about downloading the 70 gigabyte, flight sim executable. And they're like, yeah, this will take me 10 hours based off my internet. I was like, oof. So yeah, it is not as wide, high speed internet. It's not that widespread. So a lot of people actually need the physical media, need the physical hardware still. That is that's the issue. I think maybe if that satellite internet scheme works out to actually be something viable, maybe that'll help.
Yep.
But yeah, I think maybe not in our lifetime. Definitely, like I would think in the next 50 years we'll see a world where probably everything is fucking streaming. Your food is probably going to be streaming to you, but um, over the next 10 years or so, I don't think I see it going away. I think you would see that wave coming in a little sooner. It is interesting though, because when I look at a lot of the financial calls and all that for the console developers and the publishers just to see if there's anything that kind of leaks out. And year over year, like the physical sales go down and down, and the downloads are going up. So it might be closer than I think, but I still think there's probably another console generation in between those going away completely different, like PS5, PS6, and then after that, maybe everything's done because that'd be a good 6 to 10 years at that point.
Yeah, but you're talking about, because you already stated that the backbone, and I agree, the backbone of getting this type of solution up and running is the internet. But I mean, the Midwest is still working on kilobyte per second speeds in the states. Like there's a ton of states that have been allowed to have these monopoly contracts with these ISPs in those areas that have zero interest in upgrading their internet speeds for their customer base, unless forced upon. That was actually one of the reasons why we had a whole big shift in our internet dynamic here in our area, was because Google Fiber was trying to inject themselves in different pockets that didn't have that great of internet speeds before Google Fiber started threatening our market here. I think our internet speeds were like 25 was a good, like 25 megabits was a like a top tier almost package for our ISPs. And now I have gigabit internet in the house that I'm at right now. So I think it's not as easy as just like, oh yeah, let's just get the internet up and then it'll be flawless, because there's a lot of places in the states where you don't have that type of internet bandwidth, where streaming latency free just is not even remotely a chance, and it's going to take more than 10 years to get that infrastructure up. If they started today, it would take it, I think 10 years would probably be the minimum of getting most Americans that are still relying on some places are still utilizing satellite internet as their required form of internet. So maybe you know what? I take it back. I take back what I just said, because I completely forgot that Starlink is a thing. Starlink will probably make this more of a realizable dream. I don't know why I completely forgot that Starlink was an option.
Yeah, I did say that too.
You did.
it's
And I
it's
just
okay
didn't
though.
didn't latch in.
Yeah,
I still
but
don't I still don't think that the latency is going to be, near zero enough for competitive titles, but I think it will probably get a more stronger approach than it currently has, a stronger base than it does now.
yeah, and I think I think you're right in the infrastructure not being there. I just think that they don't care that much. Like the couple of small regions where they would need to support people, like by the time this is all done, like if we keep seeing this number dwindle the way it is, like yeah, there'll be a small segment who are still stuck on like, hey, I really need the physical stuff, and maybe they'll work out something for them. But it does it'll just get to. I mean, at the end of the day, their businesses once that becomes unprofitable for them, supporting people on physical hardware, then they'll definitely cut it out. So that's the big thing. I mean, especially you think so worst case scenario, you think of what happens when a GameStop goes out of business, like, and how that would have just such widespread ramifications throughout the industry. Because other than that, you're left with Walmart, Target, Best Buy. Like, you're left with a few places to go, but you're not left with any place substantial you can go and just like have that kind of blockbuster experience of just, oh, let me flip through a few games and see what I want to pick up, that kind of thing.
Right.
And without that cycle of pre-owned money coming back in, that really is. I mean, publishers hate that, but that really keeps a lot of sales going too. Like, people are able to buy games that they otherwise wouldn't be because of that whole pre-owned cycle. Like, oh, I've saved up the last 20 games I bought last year just so I can buy this year's Madden or whatever the case is. Like, people do that all the time.
Yeah.
This it's just interesting. This is definitely one of those got to sit back and wait and see things. But cloud gaming itself, like, I think that I think it's obviously the future. Is just how soon will it come and how soon will it be that widely adopted? Because we don't have any real, like, we have examples of it working, but we don't have any examples of it being like, hey, this is a new mainstream way to play. Like how iOS made playing games on your phone like kind of overnight. Like, oh man, like you can, we went from Snake to, hey, we've got 3D games on our phone. Like,
We
and
got
that whole
Angry
market,
Birds now.
yeah, that market exploded overnight. So, you need the same thing to happen with Stadia, like or not Stadia specifically, but a cloud device. Like, a cloud device came out and it just happened to be the biggest fucking selling thing over Christmas because, and I do think that is, you got to get in with the parents. Like, you got to get in with the parents. Like, you got to get that
Absolutely.
adoption. It's got to be something that the whole family can enjoy. And I think that's the way to do it. Like, it's something quick, easy. Like, when the Super NESs or whatever the fuck, those mini S,
Yeah.
people were
The
just picking them
classics.
up at the end of the aisle. They're like, "Oh, yeah, I'll get this. It's cheap enough." That's how the little streaming device has to be. It's got to be cheap enough, not this monthly bullshit like that Stadia does. Like, it needs to be, you buy the single device, you're set up, and then you just buy the games, and then maybe there's like a $20 a month thing that has like a Netflix rotating Xbox Game Pass type library. Like,
Right.
if someone had done that, they'd already be rich. But Stadia bumbled it. They fucking fumbled the ball so badly. That's all they needed was just something that it's like Netflix. Because when people are streaming, they automatically associate that with, I've got a library of stuff, not I've got the two things I bought. Like,
Right.
what good would Netflix be if you signed up for your monthly Netflix subscription, but then they said, hey, here's all the movies you can buy.
Yeah, because I think Stadia only came with like Destiny or something, right? Destiny
Yeah,
2. Yeah.
it came with Destiny, and then every month they did like a little fucking game, but it was never anything that anybody wanted. At least not for me. Like, I've never.
Like an indie
Mine is
title.
still in a box underneath my TV collecting dust. So
Yeah, I think we'll probably see a collapse of cloud gaming again because this isn't the first time. This isn't the first attempt. This is like attempt number 3 or something. I would say because we had Live On back in like 2007 or 2008, I think. Live On was a streaming thing, and then Nvidia kind of had one somewhere around, man, I don't remember when there was their like GeForce Now situation that they were having. That's pretty much dead now, but uh, xCloud seems to be doing a big push for their cloud streaming. Uh, I don't know. I think we'll probably see a submergence of cloud gaming again, where just like it's not talked about for years, and then like you said, someone will come out, this device right here connects directly to your Starlink. That's all you have to do. Boom. Everyone's on the same platform. Everyone has system homogenization, and it just works. As Todd Howard likes to say it, it just works. But I think that's it for that question. Let's move along to Lab Profess. Do you believe that games teach valuable skills to the current and next generation that justify the backlash on them, such as they are a waste of time? So, in short, we still are seeing where a lot of people are like, "Oh, you just spend all your days playing video games and wasting away." I think there's a balance. Like with all things in life, there's a balance that has to be met. Do they teach you valuable skills? Yes, they're perfect. They're perfect ways of improving your hand-eye coordination. And I'm a big proponent of that because whenever last October came around and I was hospitalized with COVID, I came back and my coordination was horrible. I could barely talk right, much less, move around and have hand-eye coordination. So hopping back on Destiny was probably one of the fastest and easiest ways that I could get my hand-eye coordination back. Um, but there's also other lessons. I think it goes beyond teaching valuable skills and just wanting to be entertained. You know, not too many people get harassed for watching a ton of movies, but there's no real difference other than I want to interact with my entertainment as opposed to I want to take a passive approach to my entertainment. I don't want to be a part of the story to where I want to be in the story type setup. What about you?
Yeah, I'll keep it short and simple. There's obviously a value to playing games. Like people play games and then grow up to make games. People play games and grow up to be actors, or people play games and get a sense of social connection that they otherwise wouldn't get.
Yeah.
So there's just so many benefits to gaming. I'm with you. There's definitely a balance to it where some people can take it excessive, but me personally, I've never met one of those people. I
Yep.
mean, I've seen some people who are a little, some edge lords who might take it a little too seriously. But I mean, for the most part, I've only seen positive benefits from the people that I know that
Yeah.
game. Like it is a, and one of the things I remember my grandmother always saying when I was a kid, to me, I grew up in an urban area of the city, so there was always things to be wary about and all that kind of stuff. And she would
Mm-hmm.
always be like, it's better for you to be in the house doing this, playing with your friends. Because my friends would come over, we play MLB and all that kind of stuff. But
Right.
it's better for you guys to be in the house playing than out on the streets doing God knows what.
Right.
And over time, I mean, especially now, like, I mean, in just the years since you and me were kids, like, we have gone from where kids could comfortably go out, ride their bikes, all day, do whatever the hell they want. You come home at 7 o'clock, eat dinner, and hey, it's all good. To where now you have to kind of keep an eye on your kids 24/7. So it kind of is good for them to like, they go to school, they do all the running around, they have their exercise at PE. When they come home, they want to hop on Fortnite, put their headset on and play with their friends from school for a few hours before they
Yeah.
do their
Go for it.
homework or after. Yeah, I have no problem with that. I'm already kind of teaching my kid like, again, it's kind of preparing the children of today for the world that they're growing into as well. Like you, me, a lot of people we know are well adapted to today's society because we've always been adapted to technology from when we were kids. But then you had other people who have the parents who are like, oh no, you can't have any TV time and no computer time and all this. And you put them in front of a computer because that's what jobs require. And
Yeah.
then they have no clue what the hell to do. They
They
can't
can't
do
type
basic
fast.
troubleshooting.
Yeah. They can't do basic
Yeah. And
troubleshooting.
yeah, so I just think it's goofy not to let your children, your friends, whatever. I think it's goofy to ridicule them for playing games. Like if they go a little excessive, cool. Give them a hard time about that. But if that's just their one vice, cool. Because I mean, again, like I know people who stay home on weekends and play games. I know people who go out on the weekends, drink, drive, do all types of stupid shit. So
Yeah. So
I
which one's safer for everybody involved?
yeah.
Yep. I think that's a good question because the what was it called back in the the late 90s, the war on video games, when Mortal Kombat was showing blood on my Sega Genesis. What is this? And then the ESRB was formed and everything. So there's we're still dealing with all of that. Like parents and grandparents are still under the influence of that whole media blitz that occurred back in the early 90s or mid 90s of how terrible video games are. And unfortunately we do live in a world where mass shootings occur, and it seems like video games for a while in those were the big like finger pointer. Like instead of like, hey, this guy needed some psychological help, it's like, oh, he was nursed with Call of Duty, so that's why he did this. It's there's so many good teachable skills. And you even mentioned one earlier when we were talking about Battlefield communication. As a team, when you're on these games, if you're in a team environment like Battlefield, you have to be good at communicating with your teammates, and you have to build those skills. As you experience situations, you do build them, and you figure out which way of talking works better with people. You start learning different what's the term? different like Discord languages, not the app, but in language arts, different Discord languages of I'm in this game, so I need to talk this way, but I'm in this other game, I need to talk this way. And in our Discord server, we talk this specific way and use this specific language set. So there's so much that can just be written off as like, oh, it's a video game. But yeah, you learn a lot from there. But again, I have a nephew right now that is hard to get him to unglue himself from Roblox or Minecraft right now. And that has to be looked out for because that's a real possibility.
Yeah.
All right. So which of these questions did you like the most, Steve?
I like the last one the most regarding skills and all that good stuff.
Yeah,
I
that
thought
was a
fun.
solid one. That was a real good question. So that was lab profess. We will DM you in a little bit. What game? I don't think he posted what game he wanted out of that list.
No worries. I usually message them and ask them anyway, just to be sure.
Yep, he didn't. But yeah, that way you can get confirmed. All right, so what are you playing? What are you playing lately, Steve? What have you been playing?
Same old, man. I did get back into Resident Evil Village for a little bit. I'm just finding it hard to really get through this one, to be honest. Like, I'm enjoying it, but it's just the I'm not a fan of the puzzle shit that they do, honestly. Like, I would much prefer a straightforward action adventure game that kind of laws itself off the interesting story.
Mm-hmm.
Give me the horror gameplay, the jump scares and all that. But the puzzle stuff, I've always kind of felt is just weird for the series. I've never understood why they have them. Like, I understand it's kind of in the DNA of the game, based
Right.
on or the series from the earlier games, but I don't see why they still persist this late. Like in Tomb Raider, I get it. Uncharted, I get it. And a horror game with zombies, like shoot the lock off, get a
Yeah.
a crowbar, and open the door. Like I'm so sick of like, oh man, I can't get through this door. Let me go backtrack all over this fucking house to find the stuff. But I'm enjoying it. I mean, it's gorgeous. It's fucking beautiful. Like I'm so surprised how good the engine looks because I played every game since 7. I played 2 remake. I played 3 remake.
Mm-hmm.
And they've all looked good, but this one looks phenomenal, like literally phenomenal. So I've been playing that. Haven't even loaded up Days Gone yet, which I really want to get to, but I got to beat Resident Evil first. I'm not going back and forth between zombie games.
Right.
But honestly, man, Elite is what is taking up all my time. Like I am just grinding the hell out of Elite. You probably see in our channel on Discord. So we have an admin channel where we talk about the show and stuff like that, but I use it also for kind of my scratch pad when I'm playing games because I'm like, yeah, no one else is going to see this, and I have nowhere else to, I have nowhere else to put stuff. So I'm like, this is so convenient. I just put my screenshots in there. It lets me know what I was working on last, that kind of shit. But yeah, I'm playing Elite fucking morning to night usually now. Like it's so good. Like there's bugs and stuff still that we're working through, but the
Mm-hmm.
actual gameplay loop of it, I'm really enjoying. So
Yeah, I need to hop back on Elite Dangerous. That last little bit did frustrate me where I lost like 6 hours. And I think I still owe like 600,000 credits for lost
jeez.
missions for some reason. But I'll get back into it cuz it's a fun game. And I haven't played it since the last real patch that came out, I think like
I
last
gotcha.
weekend. So it's time to get back in it. And I actually started working through the like the political stuff in the game, like understanding
Oh,
what all
cool.
that's about and everything.
Yeah.
Made my pledge to one of the imperial factions. It was fun. I still don't understand how to do most of the stuff there, but like we talked about earlier, it's all about there's a ton of things to do. You don't have to know everything. Like in real life, you don't have to know everything in real life to enjoy real life. Like it's
Yeah.
it's that type of concept. But yeah, so we had a pretty awesome Destiny session with a bunch of the midlife people this past week. I'm trying to get us raid ready because I really want to do Vault the Glass as a group. That would be amazing. But it's a tall order because a lot of us have not been playing it for a long time. So it's I think it's 1,300 light level is what is needed, and even I, who have been playing it for a while now, am not 1300. So it's going to be interesting because I've seen some of the guides for like the changes that have occurred, and they're good changes. Like I want to get back in there. They're good changes to the raid situation. Um, Outside of that, though, I played Mass Effect a little bit, just prepping for E3. This happens just about every summertime, where E3 is like right around the corner. Not a ton of people have released new stuff, or it's only remakes or re whatever uh graphical overhauls of games. Like so, like played Mass Effect, played a couple of old JRPGs. There's like a resource management style game that I like to play every once in a while called Oxygen Not Included. I'd be playing that a little bit as well. It's a good little base management type thing. I like it. But that's really all I've been up to.
Good stuff. Well, no, so actually, it's not that bit of a shorter show. We did go our hour still, but we got one last thing to do, buddy. It's time for video game 20 questions.
Video
What do
game
you got for me
20
this week?
questions. So it is my week to challenge you. And for anyone that doesn't know, we play a game called Video Game 20 Questions, where one of us challenges the other to figure out what game we're trying to give them. We normally have a little blurb in the beginning, and after that, they have 20 yes/no questions to figure out what game it is. So for this week, I'm the challenger, and well, I'm challenging you. And this title was released in late 2001 as a story based platformer. This was the precursor for 5 additional titles, as well as a bundled collection, which I actually just checked again, and there's 2 different bundles because of the time difference.
A puzzle platformer.
A
Okay.
story based platformer. Not, I didn't say puzzle.
Oh, story-based platformer.
Even though
Story-based
I'm
platformer.
sure there's puzzles in it.
Okay. Is this exclusive to any particular Xbox, Nintendo, or PlayStation platform?
It is a exclusive to a console. Yes.
Okay. Is this console PlayStation?
Yes.
Okay. Story-based platformer. Would this be considered a mature audience title?
Let me see what the rating for this one was.
So not for a rating. Let me re-ask the question.
Like, it's not.
Looking
Is it a
at
kid's game or not?
visually, is this a children? Is this title whatever to children? Yes.
Um, I would say that it. I'll be clear. It's during a time when realism wasn't really a thing in games. But I would imagine that this was probably not, the target audience was not, the age group of 10 and younger.
Okay. So 5 games. Has this series had an appearance on the PS5?
On the PlayStation 5, let's see. I believe the answer is technically yes, but an actual true standalone release, no.
Not standalone release, but have they did like a remastered or anything like that for PS5? Not like the compatibility patch, but has there been like a...
Let's see if, and I'm not going to include the like the store remakes or whatever, like a true actual branded re-release. No.
Okay. 5 story platformer. Is this a third person game?
Yes.
Is it a side scrolling game, or is it or I should say, is it a side scrolling game?
No.
It is a 5 in a bundle. Does this game have a movie adaptation coming? Or does the series have a movie adaptation coming?
I don't think so. Let me double check real quick. Unless I haven't heard of something. No. Not that I can tell.
Okay. So realism graphics are not around. 3D platformer had a bunch of bundles exclusive to the PlayStation. Do 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 do. Is this a AAA title?
Man, at that time, I don't think it really was, but it's definitely by a AAA dev. Like you would consider the dev today a AAA developer. Definitely, you would consider them a AAA developer.
Is this Naughty Dog developed?
It is Naughty Dog developed.
Okay. Is it in the Crash Bandicoot series?
It is not.
Naughty Dog. Crash.
Let me confirm Naughty Dog. I was pretty sure. Yeah, okay, yeah. They are the primary. Yeah.
What else did Naughty Dog do? In this game, do you have a partner with you? Like, is it a blank and blank title?
You do have a partner.
Is this a Jack and Daxter game?
It is a Jack and Daxter game.
Okay. 2001. Is it the first Jack and Daxter?
Yes, I'm not gonna make you do the whole subtitle though.
Okay.
But I did give you a hint because the full first title is Jack and Daxter: The Precursor Legacy, Legacy.
Okay.
So I intentionally dropped that in a little note.
I would not have gotten that. Hey, that was a good one.
Yep.
I didn't know that was Naughty Dog. I knew Naughty Dog had done something cartoonish back in the day, but I didn't remember if they had done that one or not. That was a those games ended up being fucking great. Like there was one interesting story. So Sony did a they put out some demo disc at some point, and I could probably find it out, but they had a whole fucking fiasco behind it. Some Sony demo disc memory card delete, so you can kind of get an idea of what happened there. All right, when did this happen? PS2 holiday demo disc was November 2004. So November 2004, Sony put out a PS2 holiday demo disc. And for whatever reason, this demo disc would delete your entire memory card. I had basically my brother, and he had the whole 100% save device setting and all that. We used to share, a PS2. And what they ended up doing was they sent out I don't even know what the process was. Like you had to register online or something, but they sent out something and you got to pick a free game from their library, and the game sucked at the time. I don't even remember what the options were. I could probably find it from this list. But anyway, it was either Jack and Dexter 2 or 3, but whatever it was an open world fucking Jack and Dexter game. I was like, this game is actually pretty fucking awesome. Like it played like Grand Theft Auto in terms of you could jump in vehicles and all that kind of stuff, but it was kiddie in that you weren't, shooting people and all that, But yeah, that was I always liked that series, and
so that would have been that probably would have been for Jack 3.
Yeah, I'm reading the forum thread now, and it was that was Jack 3.
Oh,
I wonder
okay,
what other games were on that demo disc. Let's take a walk through time.
For what I see, to avoid having your memory card wiped, do not play Beautiful Joe 2. That was apparently the problem on it. And it wipes your memory card clean. Wow, what craziness had to have happened on that because this was what with the magazine, right? This was PlayStation Underground. Ooh,
yeah,
man. You know what was crazy? I was a PlayStation Underground member. I don't remember.
Yeah, that was a cool program. That was back in the day where you could get demo discs from like fucking Pizza Hut and random stuff like that. Underground, if I remember correctly, I think they used to mail it to you in it was like a pretty cool box. I want to say for some reason I've got that memory in my head.
It came with a magazine, with the PlayStation Underground magazine. Yeah.
Yeah. So for memory's sake, so here are the games. They had 2 different discs. One of them had Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal. One had Jack 3. This first one had Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal Jack 3, ATV Off-Road Fury 3, Killzone, Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, Area 51, Silent Hill 4, Prince of Persia Warrior Within, Star Wars Battlefront, and Ace Combat 5. So that's a hell of a fucking lineup for a demo disc, honestly.
Yeah.
The other variant had Ratchet and Clank, Jack 3, Off-Road Fury, Battlefront, Ace Combat 5, a game called Crash Twin Sanity,
Crash
Tech
Insanity.
2,
Yeah.
The Staff of Dreams, The Incredibles, Beautiful Joe 2, and Spyro A Hero's Tale. So, yeah, I don't know why they had two separate discs, but apparently they had two separate discs. But yeah, that's actually a hell of a fucking lineup, and it kind of just tells you how fucking strong the PS2 was. Like, there were every one of those games was fucking
That
almost
was a
every one was a
banger.
classic.
Yeah.
Yeah, like just the fact they had a demo disc with Snake Eater on it and Battlefront at the same time, like, jeez.
I
That
miss
was
the days
that's
of
what
demo discs. Those were good times. And I had one of those
I did
Pizza
too.
Hut demo discs.
Man, we had it good back in the day, man. We
We
had it
did.
good.
Very good
Yeah.
stuff.
Tom in chat said, Isn't there a new Jack game coming for PS5?" I think so. I think that because we got a new Ratchet and Clank
Yeah.
thing for PS5, and I think the only thing is I don't know whose hands fucking Jack and Dexter in now, but it wouldn't be Rocksteady. It would not be the guys at Naughty Dog for sure.
Why wouldn't it? What do you mean?
Naughty Dog's gonna stop doing Last of Us and move over to Jack and Dexter.
I mean, it with help of that you're talking about the same people who just remastered the entire Crash and Spyro trilogy. Yeah, they absolutely would. Because
did they do it, or did they port it to someone else to do?
They ported it off to somebody else, but it's still underneath their creative control.
I mean,
because they work with the Santa Monica studio.
They would not have a single hand on development unless they're putting this fucking dark Jack and Dexter, like, it's going completely dark.
Can you imagine this? Like, yeah, it's Jack and Daxter, but you're the bad guy now.
I could see it. I mean, they're it's like you said, they weren't going for realism, but it wasn't really that childish either. Like, there was an actual story. Like, the gameplay was pretty mature. Like, it was a good game. I think like that's probably one of the best things about this high definition world we live in now is like that vibrant colors and all that kind of shit. Like, you can do a pretty good Jack game and probably have it over in like 5 hours and still sell a bunch of copies to kids. You know, like, it's not going to get you and me playing. We'll play maybe with kids or family, but yeah, I mean, it's ROI at that point. Like, how much resources do you want to put into doing it? How many people are actually going to buy it? But I mean, I kind of can see it. You put Jack and his little buddy in a Fortnite, you get those kids all invigorated about it. I mean, like, there's
Master Chief is in Fortnite, so why not?
Yeah, exactly.
Why not? That'd be interesting to see if they would. Let me see. So the developer team for Jack and Daxter were Naughty Dog, Ready at Dawn, and High Impact Games.
Oh wow, Ready at Dawn is those guys. There's a VR game I played from them not that long ago.
Echo Arena.
Yeah, Lone Echo. Yeah, so that's what those guys are up to. So they might have a relationship with Sony in the background, but they did the Lone Echo series. The Echo series is actually exclusive to the Oculus. I don't know what they're doing. They could come back, but I mean, again, Jack isn't something where you need the original developers to come back. Like, there's not going to be a group of angry fans. This doesn't feel like the original, you know?
The original. I don't think High Impact Games is going to be coming back to help either, because the last thing they did was in 2012, and it was Disney Princess My Fairy Tale Adventure. So
that's that's
Tom's favorite game. Yep. So I don't think that's going to be on their plate anytime soon. But they have leaned on Sony's Santa Monica studio. Like, even for The Last of Us, they leaned on it. So it'd be no different.
Yeah, I can see them doing that. That's not a problem at all.
Yeah, that'd be pretty interesting. Well, hey, great episode. Do you have anything to plug? You have anything you want to tell anybody? Like, maybe any type of like any type of helicopter news, maybe?
I got nothing exclusive. Nothing real exciting going on. I mean, we did so we announced last Friday that we are releasing a new helicopter, Payware H145 Microsoft Flight Simulator. I don't know how many of our fans here for the podcast play the game or play the sim, but if you want to support my development team, you can go to hypeperformancegroup.com. You can buy it, it's in early access. I can speak about that for 5 seconds. So, early access is usually something we probably talk negatively about on the show for
A
the most
lot.
part. Yeah, and then it's kind of been eye opening as a developer ourselves. So to give a quick little history, we did the H135. It got 220,000 downloads. Was released completely for free with the option for people to donate if they wanted to kind of support the team. And we opened up a little Patreon, like, hey, if if this becomes successful enough, we'll just continue doing free shit. The Patreon over the course of the 3 months we did the H15 got 3 patrons for a total of $13. Um, and then for donation wise, we received, I won't put the dollar amount out there because the dollar amount is kind of insignificant when you think about how many people we had on the team, but we only got 2% of our total download number in donations by quantity. So if you think
Hmm.
about that, 2%, it's like a little over 300 donations overall out of
Hmm.
220,000 downloads. So yeah. So we just want to be able to be sustainable. We wanted to continue doing high quality aircraft, which requires, purchasing of software to develop models and people to actually come in and help us do professional stuff that we can't do ourselves. Like we did the H135 all in-house by ourselves.
Hmm.
For this we've hired a couple of professional guys to come in with Mullen side, and me and Dave's handling flight mechanics. I'm doing only admin stuff this time, so we changed up things a lot. So
Yeah, you're getting the
it is more of a
process figured
real,
out.
yeah, it's more of a real business at this point. We've got a strategy going, and yeah, but like I always say, I don't buy pre-order things unless I'm pretty confident in the developer. So if anybody who's listening isn't confident in us 100%, don't buy it. I 100% do not want your money until I say but we don't want your money until you are happy about giving your money to us. So if you want to sit back and wait for a review, perfectly fine to do that.
Yep.
The early access period is not designed for us to try to take advantage of the market, try to get people to buy and then disappear in the middle of the night. It was there for the people who kept telling us like, "Hey, we want to support you. Do something payware." So the option is open, but we also completely understand if people just ignore it. Which I think that's the fairest way to have a market. Like you
Yeah.
don't have to support us. You can if you want to. That's
Absolutely.
simple.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Well, all right. It's been a great episode. I appreciate you as always, Steve, and I appreciate all of y'all out there uh coming, chatting, hanging out.
Tip my
Again,
hat to you.
yeah, tip our hats. Again, like, comment, subscribe, follow, whatever, do something. It helps us out tremendously.
Well,
Well, what?
I
What?
said smile.
Oh,
I
smile.
took a pit.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. Love y'all. Have a good night.